I'm Shelby.
I'm Tony.
And we're here with Scott Francis, owner and designer of Distracted Haunted House.
Hey Shelby. Hey Tony.
Hey Scott. So you run this haunted attraction called Distracted. Can you tell us more about that or anything particular?
Well, yeah, it's at Levis Commons,
Okay.
in Perrysburg, Ohio.
Right.
There's not a lot of haunted houses in the Toledo metro area, so we're one of the few right now.
Yeah, there's maybe 2 or 3 other ones besides you guys?
Yeah, I know the year before we started, this is our 3rd year, the year before we started there was the total of 0 haunted houses in the area. And then we got everything together. Believe me, it was not a simple process, probably 10 years in the making,
right.
But it was all together and finally got the okay for the space, and we had 6 weeks to build the whole thing. Empty space, no walls, nothing inside.
Jeez.
No safety systems or nothing. So
wow,
6 weeks we just went crazy and built it. But in the process, 2 other haunted houses got involved, and so the year that we came out, there were 2 other haunted, so there were 3 haunted houses. Actually, maybe even 4. Well, if you include one outside haunted house
right,
as well.
Right.
So
It's hard to say. It's like you have a lot of competition, but at the same time you don't, because just in the basic Toledo area where you're at, you only have really 2 competitors, and one of them I've been to and is no competition.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one I've not heard good reviews of, but I do plan on going to it to make to see it for myself. But I can't see it out competing your haunt from what I've been to. And you're changing it this year, so it's going to be a new experience regardless. And I'm sure they're not changing anything up.
absolutely, I change it every year. So, and I was so thrilled to hear your feedback. Your podcast that you put out there. And that's why I contacted you. What was that, 9 months ago?
Yeah, it took me a little bit to get back. I had a lot of people leaving me some nasty messages after I left that.
That's social media.
Yeah, it's social media.
No, but yeah, your podcast really inspired us to kind of do something, be willing to kind of do our own little podcast, just because I felt like it was so genuine and real. And we questioned it at first,
Right.
Is this something we should put out there? Because there was good stuff, but there was a few things where is this giving too much away, So, we're new to this, so we were a little bit guarded, but then we talked it over and we're like, yeah, let's just put it out there because it's genuine, it's real, and I think people can sense that from what you said. So, for sure, every year, that's why I got in this thing. I don't really want to do the same thing over and over again because I'll be totally bored. So I'm a little bit ADD, so I just don't, I just don't want someone to come in the front or any of the rooms and know what's going to happen. That's the whole point of Distracted.
Exactly.
I'm trying to distract people and scare the crap out of them.
Well, yeah, it's you got, and every year there's a different type of trend that happens anyways. So you're just trying to keep up with scaring people. If it's not one year, Five Nights at Freddy's, or It comes out one year, so you want to kind of try to keep a grasp on that, kind of on the zeitgeist in general. So you spend, from what I've heard, an entire almost year developing.
Yeah, we keep all our stuff in the space.
Jeez.
And we I'm not saying we replace everything. We'll reuse it. We'll retheme it. Put it in different areas. We'll get new stuff.
Repurposing it.
Yeah, and the big thing is we'll change the paths and things. We'll put new holes in walls and new spaces, and that's one thing that's neat. A lot of haunted houses will use plywood, walls, and we're using the commercial building materials with drywall and metal studs and all that.
Nice.
And so, it's good for safety as far as the fire, but it's also good because we can make it look more like a deteriorated wall because it really is.
It's an actual wall.
Yeah, we probably replaced 30 sheets of drywall from this season from last season just because our actors were so intense and put so many holes in the wall.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which I kind of encourage, but then at some point I have to discourage it too.
Yeah.
Well, you want them to act the character, but you also don't want them to lose themselves to the character, I would assume.
Right.
Or destroy too much property.
Right, that would be bad too.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, it does add up. But like I said, I do like moving the walls around and creating new passages and things. So
just
It's
feels
a lot
like
of fun.
yeah, it feels like a passion project for you.
I imagine
Most
working
definitely.
with something like that year round is both. It's stressful, but it's also probably it's like if you love Halloween, you're working on something all around that you love. This is what you worked. Or if I had it my way, I'd have this whole place like decked out in Halloween stuff all year round. But I just keep
your
what I'm
apartment.
allowed.
Heck yeah.
I see you have a few things out.
Like the coolest bottle opener too.
Just a little skull hand bottle opener.
Right.
Yeah, no, Shelby is that one friend that I've had for like years that is super interested in Halloween. So like her asking me to help her with this or like telling me that she's going to review haunted houses didn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
It was like, why didn't you do it sooner? But so
yeah, and I'm kind of like I've always been like that too with Halloween. Like
Right.
I kind of got into it more like from the young like party fun side of it, entertainment side of it.
Right.
We had a big Halloween party every year, and me and my friends started building a haunt in the basement. You know, playing with the controllers and that sort of stuff. And we did that for like 8 years. And then my wife, we were moving furniture out of the house to have the party, and she said, "This is the last year.
it's just getting to be too much.
Find something somewhere else." to do.
Well, it sounded like when you were doing it, it sounded just to kind of get pop culture, I guess I would say, like kind of sounded almost like Roseanne-ish, where like, have you ever seen Roseanne?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well,
It's been a while.
I'm a bit of an older soul, but they had those Halloween episodes where like they would turn their basement into like a haunt. So that was essentially what you guys did.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun. And I have kids that are all kind of teenage, years, and
Right.
my youngest is like 10 now, so she's been in haunted houses scaring people for years. So she's not.
She's not that afraid of things.
Yeah, so I did think it was interesting when Shelby came through in her podcast. She said, "Well, I don't typically like kids in a haunted house necessarily.
Yeah.
There seemed to be more kids than you might have expected.
Oh yeah, there were.
But you said they didn't seem like they were inexperienced either, which is kind of how my kids grew up. Scaring people, and they know not to just say boo.
Yeah. I've went through so many haunted houses, and then Distracted and Rotten Manor up in Michigan were the two most prominent ones that use kids, but like they had a couple, you had a lot more, and it's like, okay, this is different, and children bring new elements. I know some people are against it, but I think honestly they add a whole new level of creep, and I really enjoyed it because you're expecting to have adults in there, so you're going to be looking on eye level. You're not going to see some little kid like
scampering
you have to
around
look down or
in
who's
front of
in the fog.
Yeah.
You're not expecting that.
Yeah, it's a whole like another like creep factor, and it's a whole another like almost like kind of taboo-ish type thing where you have these terrifying children around like covered in blood, like screaming at you or like and you said like they don't just scream boo. Do they like try to pick up on what's scaring the people walking through?
Yeah, we work with them as far as lines and things that they should say or whatever, or we give them flexibility too, because basically for any scare actor, we have the idea. Okay, here's the room, here's the concept, here's the scares. We think this thing out all year long.
Oh yeah,
of course, and then sometimes it just doesn't work. It's just not. It's not, the timing's not right or something's different. So as the season goes along, the haunted house always gets better because the people start to figure out, well, this is when you do this, I need to jump out and do that.
Right.
Or when this sound comes from the other, this is when we do that. So we do give them flexibility to kind of do that, and they come up with some crazy lines. Some of the best lines, and I remember hearing them. Because we did a big thing with an X where we would mark people.
I remember
a
that was
scared
fun.
person, and we did that for 2 years where they write their name on the wall and stuff. And so the kids really got into that, because when we get their name and then
gotta give some more freedom and more of a love for it.
Yeah, make it more personal when they walk through. Basically,
right?
You can kind of say, kind of whisper in their ear, or
brings a whole new meaning to the mouth from the mouth of babes, right?
Yeah. One thing that has bugged me in other haunted houses that didn't invoke yours was everyone who was playing their character didn't feel the need to reset. They went through and improvised, and that's what a lot of your haunted house is. That even all year round, like you're building it, you're updating, you're doing something, you're improvising basically all year round. Your actors are doing that, and a lot of people can't.
It feels like just from listening to those segments that Shelby had done, where they had this set script and that's what they just did. And then from listening and watching a lot of the stuff that I've seen from you guys, it just feels like they again, we're just that character.
Yeah, I mean, I think they kind of take on like, I give them a lot of freedom. I mean,
Right.
I do give them direction, but I give them freedom, and I don't think that I know all the scariest things out there. I mean, there's all different generations of people, and
Right.
so they bring a different element. We bring in all sorts of different community groups. We work with addiction recovery groups,
Right.
and those groups come in and they kind of have their edge and their side of it, and their take on some of the things that we do. And I'm not, it just can't all be my idea and my stuff. It's got to be their input so that
Right.
they can make it unique, every night. So
Right, and you hit on something too. You said that you guys have actors that are former drug users, and you're working
Addicts,
with
yeah,
addicts,
recovering
recovering
addicts,
addicts. So from all the promotional stuff that I've seen or anything like that, parts of your proceeds that you make from this go towards that, and that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's correct. We always have like a main charity that we're gonna raise money for.
Nice.
But then in addition to that, we have different community groups that can come in on any given weekend, and that works as a fundraiser for them.
Oh, okay.
So they bring in a certain amount of people, and for a certain amount of nights, it's usually 10 people, 2 nights, and then they get a certain amount of funds that they can raise. Which for most groups, that's not a big deal to get 10 people together to come out for a weekend and have a good
Yeah.
time. It doesn't have to be the same 10 people each night. So that's been a program that's been working really well for us, and it, like I said, it kind of draws from the community different aspects. I mean, we've
Right.
had people from universities, that
Yeah.
are in theater, come out, and they brought a whole new element to some of the rooms. And then we've had, people from the addiction groups that have come out, and then those that support it, and then other teen groups. I mean, we just had a whole different variety of people that involved.
It's like having an opening day every night at that point if you're having different actors do different things, which
True.
I usually I love going to haunted houses on opening night because that's where to see where their strengths lie, because it's the day where anything that can go wrong probably will go wrong. They have the most capabilities of things going wrong that day.
Right.
And going through your haunt is like, well, that can happen any day, and it still comes together so well. And big haunts like Terror Town was around for so long, went on opening day, and half the animatronics weren't working. And I didn't ask for my money back, but that's usually a sign that you probably could. That's not acceptable, but
Right.
You're in your
Right.
3rd year, and you change it up every year. You have new actors coming out every night doing different things, and you make it work.
Yeah, and that's a credit to like some of the families that are involved and some of the people, some of the regulars
Yeah.
that come on a regular basis, because that's kind of like the core group, and then we can kind of say, okay, where does everyone else fit in? You feel bad sometimes because people, literally, people get there like an hour and a half before the show, and then they're like standing and they're wondering, like, I got a big whiteboard of like all the positions, and
Right. Right.
what am I going to be? It's like, okay, I'm looking at a person. Some people I know right away, like, you're a puppet, you're a
You're
butcher,
this,
you're
this.
a,
Right.
you're this or that. But some people, you just don't know their personality. You need
Mhm.
to see them interact just a little bit longer, so you let them stand there, and you feel bad, but it's like, just hold tight, we're going to find the right spot for you. And,
Right, you're gonna give them the right persona or the right segment.
yeah, so every night there's always a group of like people that I'm trying to figure out, okay, who is this person, and what can they do? Can they scream, So,
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of women out there that can't scream,
Like convincingly.
convincingly or for extended periods of time.
Right.
There are some women that are like excellent. Our first year we had like a zombie area, and there was like a bed basically, and a person getting eaten. Well, it was a woman getting eaten by the zombies.
Ugh.
She literally had to scream, like full vocal,
Right.
when any people came in the room. So there was a small number of actresses that we had that could do that,
Mhm.
And then to top it off, again, this was our first year. To top it off, we put them in a strobe light room that didn't have a controller on it. So these poor volunteers, which were amazing, I'll never forget any of them. There was like 3 or 4 of them, and they would like swap off, like, okay, I can only do this for half the night. They would switch out, and I was like, oh my God, you have to be the screamer tonight. But those, those people, I mean, and again, most of those people were recovery people, and they came in, some of them came in and had just kind of gotten into their recovery programs, and, by the end of, I saw different than some of those people. Some
Right.
of those people came in, and they wouldn't do anything. They showed up, and they said, oh, I can't wear a mask. I can't put on makeup. I can't do this.
Right.
I can't do that. I'm like, what? Why are you here?
Well, yeah, right.
You can't do anything to help me. But it was more of like just an attitude and just being, not quite themselves yet.
Mhm.
Just getting, further along in the recovery program. By the end of those 30, 40 days, some of those people were like the people I was relying on. They were amazing. It was amazing to see that turnaround in the person.
Nice.
So
It really brings kind of a stress release to them, or like just kind of brings out the actual person into them.
yeah, I mean they, it is difficult. I mean, and I've never been through it, so I'm not
Right.
But I'm not going to, I don't have that experience personally. But from what I've saw and from what people have told me and come back and told me, that was a relief for them. It was a stress release. And 3 or 4 weeks after the haunted house, I remember people texting saying, I just didn't know why, I wasn't sure why I was so stressed anymore, and
Right.
I just need to go back to the haunted house, and kind of relieve that a little bit, and just a kind of a release. You get to be somebody different.
Right.
You get to dress up, you don't have the pressures of, your normal roles,
Right, exactly. That's fantastic. But you said that you had like segments where like you had to kind of figure out certain people and certain like rooms and stuff like that. What is your like? You have a year to do all this. What is like your inspiration for creating characters or rooms or scenarios or anything like that?
Well,
Or do you just draw
as
generally?
far as inspiration, I just don't know, honestly. I think this stuff just comes to me.
Right.
Really, I don't, like, I do try to watch things, I'm not like a huge horror fan, but
Okay.
I will watch, like, horror movies and other movies. Like, I kind of get inspired almost more by sci-fi movies sometimes.
Okay.
More interesting to me than
Yeah,
necessarily
yeah.
horror movies, But honestly, I just have a huge spreadsheet, and I just, like sometimes something on the side of the road will inspire me. I see a piece of junk, and I'm like, oh my god, I can use that in the hunt as whatever.
Certain, yeah.
Now, what inspired the Nightmare Monster?
My older brother's a big haunted house fan. He lives in Plano, Texas, and dark hours out there, and so he goes to like 6 haunted houses a year,
Right.
And he had always said that they had people on stilts out there. So, and that was kind of what like triggered it with me. Like, oh my god, yeah, stilts. That second year that'd be amazing to get people on stilts.
Right.
And so I just did, like I would do. I just did research online, and then I was like, okay, well, that's, I could build something like that. I can never follow a tutorial, and just like, I can never follow a recipe.
Okay.
I just like, I'm like, okay, this sounds good. These ingredients sound good. Okay, let me throw some of these
Right.
in there and some of that. And sometimes it's a hit, and sometimes it just sucks. But
you just gotta keep doing it until you get it right.
yeah, so that's how I built that. That's how I built the Nightmare Monster. And I think as far as like an inspiration, I thought the cool idea was like you step into that room because the bed was like halfway through the wall,
Okay.
and the girl was halfway through the wall, and I just thought it was like you were just stepping into her nightmare. This is the creature
There we
that
go.
That was in her head,
Right.
and now it's out after you. And then actually after the Nightmare Monster comes to you,
Yep.
then the girl disappeared. And
Yep.
a lot of people, which I didn't even plan that, I told her to get up because I
Yeah.
wanted to go back and scare people elsewhere,
Right.
not laying on the bed. But, a lot of people when they walk up there, like, oh my God, where'd the girl go? Because they never see her get up because they're
Yeah.
focused
They're
on that,
They're
on
distracted.
that monster. Exactly. So that worked out really well. That's just a little example of like something that kind of worked out even better than I thought it would in that case, because I was just trying to get her out of the way.
Yeah.
And then people were like, wow, she disappeared. And it's like, well, no, you just weren't looking. And she just got up. But
Right.
I really liked it because you don't even see the Nightmare Monster when you first go. It's like up against the wall. So we did it. We were of course focusing on the girl. It's like, whoa, like it's so cool. And you made that yourself. A lot of people just go out and buy props and not bother making like a costume themselves or whatever. I just thought it was really cool that you made that. You made the big like face and arm yourself. It was
I've
really
been in my
impressive.
garage making something new for this year.
Oh, something new for this year.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm
yeah,
excited
a
for
new-
opening
a
night.
new front monster. So
Oh, nice.
not a nightmare monster, but something else. Now my daughter, she really wanted me to make a mini nightmare monster so she could do it. But again, like I said, I just couldn't. It was just boring to me to
Right.
make another nightmare monster, just a smaller
Yeah.
version. I'm
You got to keep going further.
yeah, I wanted to do something different. So
Nice.
So when's opening night this year?
September 28th.
Okay.
September 28th.
September, yeah.
We'll try to be there.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, oh jeez.
I'll drag you.
I don't know about that. Maybe. I think it'll be good for me. I think it'll be it's a nice cause. It's a nice local haunt, and you know, if what you're saying is gonna happen there, I'm gonna be not only scared but entertained at the same time.
For sure, yeah.
I'm not good with spooky, scary stuff, but if it's to help out my community, or if it's to enjoy just a night with friends, that would probably be the place to go, right?
Absolutely.
And they have a recovery at the end of it. They cheer you. You made it.
Yeah, that's a big thing. We do have the recovery zone, which that didn't happen until again, now this whole play on words, this stuff just seems to literally, I think this was meant to be, because it all seems
almost
like
serendipitous.
It all just falls together, but we have what we started calling the recovery zone, which is back behind the haunted house. Now, we didn't do that till Friday the 13th last year, because that was our big thing. We're putting up a fire pit in the back.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to give out free hot chocolate, free marshmallows, and we put the big sign up, "I survived Distracted" and stuff, so people get their pictures and kind of congregate and recover, from the haunted house and talk about their experience. So that was a huge hit. I know people were online, they were saying, "Oh, well, I went there on weekend," or we love going and doing that part of it. It's just, I think that kind of extends the experience and lets people decompress and enjoy one another a little bit more. And I think it really is about having a shared experience is what people want.
Right.
They want to be able to get photos together and laugh together and cry together and pee their pants together.
It's a whole community thing. Is what
for sure.
Entire haunt is about, regardless.
So we're gonna try to expand that recovery zone and make more things back there, because we had the photo booth out front. We're probably gonna try to put that back there, and some other crazy ideas we have with contests and stuff, and just make it a little bit bigger, because when it rained, I know we had a sorority of 100 girls that were piled into the one tent. It's they didn't seem to mind, but I thought it was a little crowded for them. So we'll try to make that a little bit larger and build the attraction out.
So that'll wrap up episode 1.
Right.
Hopefully for episode 2 we can talk about what's going to be new for Distracted this year, because I'm looking forward to that a lot.
We don't want to pull too far back on the curtain, but we want to give people something kind of to sink their teeth into, right?
For sure, yeah. There's a lot to sink it into.
Nice. That's fantastic.
Distracted.